Hi guys, a live show. It's 2 weeks ago, so why not? Always great to connect with you guys. It feels a little bit like a friendship, even though it's not a face-to-face communication, a one-on-one. Um, yeah, it's really great to have you guys, and thank you so much for following my channel. So what I've noticed coming up, and I don't know why it happens a lot on my channel in the comments, YouTube comments, that people, even long-time posters, don't believe in the fundamentals of crypto, and I think this is like very dangerous because it's actually guarantees that you will not be buying um, when prices collapse. You can't buy something that you don't believe in the fundamentals in when rough times are there. That's that's because everybody will doubt the fundamentals when prices collapse, and you have to see that that's not true. That fundamentals are still intact, and that the case for investing in it is strong, even stronger than when prices were higher. But you cannot do that if you don't, if you don't see the fundamentals. And what are the fundamentals of crypto? This is simple. It's a new technology comparable to, for example, electrical cars, Tesla, that offers a lot of advantages that you don't have with the old tech, and therefore it will grow. It will become more and more used and become more and more valued by people. In crypto, well, it's money that goes up over time instead of down. Yes, it's very volatile, but in the long run, crypto up until today has gone up a lot in value. That's amazing. If you have money that goes up over time instead of down, well, actually, that's not available in the monopolized market of fiat currencies. All fiat currencies go down over time in the long run. Yes, there are short periods where fiat goes up compared to other assets, but it's rare. In the long run, actually goes down, and down a lot. And even if you invest it on a bank account and you get interest, then still it goes down. The interest is not even covering the inflation. So, and there is no other alternative up until crypto. Like, it's not like you could choose any other currencies other than your local fiat currency to save your money in, or to transact with other people. Even if you had to transact with other people in other countries where fiat currencies and banking currencies become really difficult to use, you still had to use it. There were no alternatives. So with the invention of crypto, suddenly you have another currency that is private, but okay, that's not so important, of course, whether it's private or public. But you do see many of the typical difference between a public managed service and a privately managed service is, of course, tremendous. A publicly managed service sucks because there is no feedback system of price discovery. And that's why public transport system is always terribly managed. Even in the most advanced countries such as Norway or Switzerland, you have a public transportation system or a public hospital system or a public schooling system. Well, it's not good. It's bad compared to the private alternatives because there is no price feedback mechanism. Ludwig von Mises learned that very well. And explained that very well, that the communists just can't manage their economy from a top-down system because there is no, like, in a private, a public road system won't work because, well, people don't have to pay money for their bus fare or train fare, or much less than the true cost. And So the ones that decide where the bus need to drive, well, has to do it with based on which buses are full, which buses are empty. But this just goes too slow. The system adapts too slowly because they are not financially incentivized. If they do it poorly, they still get paid at the end of the month because they get paid by tax money. However, it's a private bus system and you don't manage it properly, you go broke. If you drive empty buses around, you go broke. So you have to make sure that resources are used optimally. If you jack up prices too high, people also don't go into your buses and you also go broke. So there's always a fine balance to find between the right price, and you do have to raise prices when it's too busy, otherwise you also go broke compared to the competition. So there's a lot of challenges in running a private bus system. As you can see here in Kenya, for example, it's all private buses and it works amazingly well. You don't have to wait an hour for any bus. You don't even have to wait 5 minutes for a bus. You don't have to ask for a ride. All the buses that pass by ask you if you want a ride. Every 30 seconds. And they have music and TV and on the buses, and yes, prices go up when it rains. Yeah, of course, because demand is much higher than for the buses. But prices also go down on a Sunday when nobody needs a bus. So all these kind of things happen in a private managed system, and it doesn't happen in a public managed system. And it's the same with fiat currencies. There's a reason why they go down in value. It's because, well, it's managed poorly. They issue every year about 8% more fiat currency, but what do they do with it? Do they raise the value of the currency? Do they make sure more people use that fiat currency? No. They just spend it. Politicians, half of it goes into their pockets, and they buy goods with it, and services, and pensions. And the other half goes to public services that are not used optimally, such as school and education and public road systems and transportation systems that are not really used well. So the value of the economy does not go up by 8% per year, but they do issue more currency at 8% per year. That's why the value goes down. More money in circulation, but the amount of goods and services in the economy does not go up by 8% per year. It goes up only by 2% per year. So you have every year 8% more currency, but only 2% more goods and services. So you lose 6% per year. And who gets that 6%? As those that print the money and get the money. It's the government. Because with that printed money, what does the Fed do or the ECB? They buy government bonds. It's the government that gets that money and spends it. So suddenly you have private currencies where you don't have an inflation tax. Nobody can inflate the amount of money. Yes, they can, and you have many different choices. That's nice in a private currency. But what do they do with that money? Do they pay for public schooling or public road systems? No, of course not. If they issue more currency in a private system, it's to spend it on things that will improve the value of the currency, make sure there's more adoption, or that make sure there are more features, or that's what they do if they issue more currency. In the case of Bitcoin Core or Bitcoin Cash, actually there is no currency issued for these kind of things. The only reason why there is currency issued is to secure the system. Actually, paying for development, continued development, for example, is done via donations. So that's going to increase the value of the system. If they don't even print more money to develop it more or to gain adoption. There is no issue of currency to be being paid to people that work hard on increasing adoption, for example. No. So those are the reasons why, the amount of currency in circulation actually remains pretty limited, very limited in these cryptocurrencies compared to the value that's created in these currencies. And so the value goes up over time. That's an amazing fundamental of cryptocurrency that you don't have with the alternatives. We don't have the fiat alternatives, and of course with gold, politicians can't print more gold, but gold is a heavy metal. It's not practical to pay people with it. Yes, it was practical 400 years ago. It was the best available currency, but thanks to the invention of banking at first, paper money, and later now digital money, physical gold is really not competitive anymore as a currency. Um, so that's the first fundamental. But there are so many other things in cryptocurrency that you say like, what? Is that so? For example, you can transfer money to anyone in the world immediately, in 1 second, and they receive it immediately. That's not the case with digital fiat money or digital banking money. It's not in 1 second. No, sometimes in certain countries, yes, it's immediately, but in most countries it takes a day or 3 days, and especially international transfers. Um, What else do you have with cryptocurrency that you don't have with fiat money? Well, you can open an account. Anybody can open an account with a few clicks of the mouse, no paperwork. Doesn't matter how old you are or in what country you live. As long as you have a phone and an internet connection, you can install an app in 1, 2, 3 and open an account in a mouse click. That's amazing. That's much better than fiat currency. Oh, we have a little girl there, playing in the couch. What other things we have as fundamentals in cryptocurrency? You can own it without counterparty risk. That's also unbelievable. We don't have that with fiat currencies. Yes, if you have the cash bills, you have no counterparty risk. That's true. But inflation is so high, you can't save cash bills in the long term. You can only store some for spending. You can't store it for saving. So you can't really store fiat currencies without counterparty risk. You have to put it on a bank account where you have counterparty risk. Okay, the chances are low that that it will go broke, a bank, and that you lose your fiat money. But there is a small chance it will happen, and it has happened recently in the 2008 crisis to some people, and some countries have been wiped out, such as in Iceland and Cyprus. Everybody had a bank account lost half their value or 90% of their value based on how much money you had on the account. So this kind of counterparty risk you don't have with crypto. Yes, most people have it because they keep their cryptocurrencies on exchanges. But if you don't want that counterparty risk, you can take it off the exchange, store it yourself. This is an amazing fundamental. And there are probably some more that I forgot, but you see the point I'm making here is that you really have to understand that because that's very important. If prices collapse, all this remains true. Yes, it's true that adoption is very, very low compared to the current valuation. That's true, but that's also normal. If you invest in markets, you know that new markets will pump to mass market valuations before the mass market actually uses it. This was the case with the internet bubble in the 90s. Very few people had even an internet connection in 1995 or even at the top of the bubble in 1999. No, maybe, I don't know the numbers, maybe it was 5% or 10%. But the valuations were already as if the masses were using it. That only happened 10 years later, by 2010. Yes, the majority had internet. It took another 10 years. And this is for all new markets. It was even true for the tulip bubble in 1600. Tulips were pumped up in valuations, but the masses were not buying tulip flowers yet, but they did, and they still do today, 400 years later. Or land in California, before the railway through America was laid down, the valuations of the land was already going parabolically, but nobody was living there. But later the masses came. So this is normal for a new market, that valuations will be way out of touch with real adoption. That's true. So you have to take that also into account. If you look at valuations of Ethereum or Bitcoin Cash, 20 billion, Bitcoin Cash 3 billion, these are not low valuations. Sadly, we are not in 2016 here anymore, where these kind of things were valued, well, Ethereum was valued 30 million. Bitcoin at the time in 2016 was per coin $200, $300. Actually, it's the same as what Bitcoin Cash is today. But yeah, this is like, yeah, you have to pay a price for the future. There is a price to pay, huh? And that price is worth it. There is always an element of investors already paying valuations that take the future into account, and that's certainly the case with crypto also, and will always be the case even if we get a strong bear market here. You can't expect prices to go to $0 or $10 for Bitcoin, or like there is a bottom there, and that's why my last buy target is at 60 billion market cap for all cryptos together, or about $2,000 for Bitcoin Core. Why? That's my last step, because I think the chances have become very low that it will go lower, and I reduced that from 20% to 10% today. Actually, I think there's only a 10% chance when we reach those prices that we go even lower, and we go from $2,000 to $1,000 for Bitcoin Core. I think the chance is very low for that, because of the strong fundamentals of cryptocurrency in general. And that will still be true right there, and also the amount of money, investment money in circulation in the world is tremendous, and this money is looking for a return. And if these fundamentals of crypto remain true, which we are certain of, yes, then there is a certain amount of investment money that will overflow from other markets, stock markets, bond markets, saving accounts into crypto by a very small percentage of investors, maybe only 1% or 5% of investors. But just the huge amount of capital coming from the other markets puts a bottom at how low it can go. Hi all, welcome to the live show, and let's take a look at the questions. Hi Ricardo, hi Rob. Yes, Mentuga, thank you for mentioning that. It was in reply to your post that I started the live show. Thank you for bringing that up. Well, Mentugo mentions that lots of people confuse the value of blockchain versus the speculative crypto markets. Well, actually, there is like I think it's the other way around. Many people from the traditional investment world deny the value of cryptocurrency, but then say that, but there is value in blockchain, just not in the cryptocurrencies. This is like totally heads up. It's the other way around. Blockchains. I mean, the value is in what it can create, a blockchain. Huh? The useful things it can create for people, and blockchains are able to create cryptocurrencies. People don't value blockchain. They don't want to use a blockchain, but they do want to use a currency that is going up in value. Blockchain is just a way to get there. Just the same as with electrical cars. People don't value EV engines, but they do value a car that pulls up faster than a gasoline car, that drives 10 times cheaper than a gasoline car, that is able to, that does not need maintenance like a gasoline car, that can be built, can drive on its own. Wow, these are incredible, useful things. They don't care how you accomplish that. The same for currencies. People don't care how you accomplish a currency that is instantly transferable, can be stored by without counterparty risk, goes up in time, over time instead of down. They don't care how you get it, but if that's via blockchain, that's fine. But it could be equally with something else. It's the end result that counts. That's why decentralization is overvalued. Like people talk, oh, it has to be decentralized. No, it doesn't have to be decentralized. Huh? Decentralized is a way to achieve, well, uncensorable cryptocurrencies. Uncensorable currencies is another great fundamental. It's not censorable. And there is no politician that can block your account, or police, local police. Chief that can block your account and basically all your money. That's possible with cryptocurrency. That's another great fundamental. It won't be possible also not if the market collapses to 60 billion. That fundamental remains intact. Let me take a look at the questions. Hit that like button, guys. Diono asks, what's more promising, BCH or Ethereum? Yeah, I discussed this in my last video where I shared that I've bought Ethereum for the first time in this bear market. More promising. I think it's a risk-reward question. More promising if you mean like which one can make you the most profits. I think BCH can make you more profits simply because it's valued a lot lower, almost 10 times lower than Ethereum, but it also has the same potential to become the leading cryptocurrency that takes 60% of the market. Both Bitcoin Cash can achieve that, or Ethereum, but it will be one of them. It won't be both. There's only one that can be the first and the biggest. And we all want to invest in that one. And most people today think it's Bitcoin Core that already won and will keep its position. I'm very confident that won't be the case in 10 years from here. For me, it's the question, will it be Ethereum or Bitcoin Cash? I think these two are the prime candidates to achieve this. And if Bitcoin Cash achieves that, well, it will make a lot more profits than Ethereum. On the other hand, the chance for Bitcoin Cash to achieve this position is also lower than Ethereum, and I think actually much lower. And therefore, the risk reward, I believe, for both currencies are about the same. I think potential reward for Bitcoin Cash is higher, but the risk as well. So I think both are great investments. Yes, this is very bad. Most viewed entertainment that Bitcoin Core is used purely as a speculative vehicle nowadays. Indeed, this is a huge red flag that should scare away any investor that looks to exclude risk. Like the prime opinion leaders of Bitcoin Core, and even lead developers, the people that promote Bitcoin Core, promote it as a store of value, they say. But a store of value, what does that mean? It means that people store value in it, and that's the only thing they do with it. This is not realistic. That doesn't happen. That it doesn't exist in the history of humankind, that people use a currency to store value in it, but that they don't use this currency to pay people with. It doesn't. That's again cause and not understanding cause and consequence. It doesn't work like that. It's a currency. First of all, becomes a currency because it's practical to use. It has a limited supply in some form, which causes it not to be glutted onto the market. It's a scarce good, and it's also practical to pay people with, and that's why it becomes a currency. And that's why people start to also save it, because they know they will be able to pay other people with it. Other people will accept it as payment, and that's why it gets value. And it's the same in cryptocurrencies. So if then suddenly this currency becomes less practical to pay other people with, for whatever reason that may be, well, that will affect the value that it is given by the people. Over time, people will value it less because they can do less with it. They can pay less people with it. This is exactly what's happening with Bitcoin Core. Because of the transaction fees, you can pay less people with it. It's less functional, less useful, and that's why the value in the long term will go down compared to the other coins that don't have this problem. Hi Isabel, hi Lajoshka. Yeah, I strongly disagree with the opinion that the risk reward of Bitcoin Core is better than Bitcoin Cash. No, like I really don't understand. Viria Belsini, you've been following my work for years. I mean, I've tried to explain it in many different ways where value comes from, but yeah, it doesn't click with you. I'm sorry. Hi, Stilianos. Yes, bit shining, very true. When people, and it's also with yourself, when you notice people, when you start to dream of great riches with a certain investment, yeah, that's very likely going to fail. Great investments are not made with a feeling, oh, I'm going to become rich. No, great investments are made with a feeling like, is this a good idea? Like, I'm not sure. Like, yeah, I can see it, but damn, this is scary. This is scary. And actually, people around me are really not enthusiastic when I make this investment. They think I'm a fool, I'm an idiot, and I'm a risk taker, and I'm a gambler, and I'm really not sure also myself whether this will be a great investment, and I pray to the gods that it works out. And you will have this feeling the more you invest, the stronger this feeling will be. These are the kind of situation. That's what you want to feel, because that's actually a good indicator you're on the right track. And yes, of course it can fail, but you're on the right track. Chances are actually in your favor. You will be making money with this one. Yeah. On the other hand, you make an investment, everybody is like, great job, like good investment. This gonna make you rich. Like you're sitting on roses here. Most people think like that, and also counting them rich, just like you are counting yourself rich of the fortunes that will fall upon you. That's a very big red flag, and a very strong. Chances are high actually that you're gonna lose money here. That's how it is. And this is indeed still the case in Bitcoin Core. Many people invested in Bitcoin Core today count themselves rich. Something I forgot to mention about Bitcoin Cash and versus Ethereum. The big difference is that Bitcoin Cash is very cheap in transactions and will likely remain cheap, very cheap. And this is a problem with Ethereum. It is expensive for transaction to such an extent that it's already 2 years the case, and really it impacts adoption because people want to build decentralized applications on top of Ethereum, and well, it's just too expensive to run them. You can't do many transactions if you pay $1 per transaction, which is the case with Ethereum. So the developers, coders have to put a lot of effort in optimization, which is not good. That's lost energy. And this is not the case with Bitcoin Cash. So what you see is that Bitcoin Cash is I mean, Bitcoin Cash had a lot of catching up to do, of course, since Bitcoin Core was not developed. There was no innovation on Bitcoin Core for many years before the fork, and Ethereum did all the innovation and got all the new all the coders excited, and all the new money went to Ethereum instead. So, but since the fork, Bitcoin Cash has really started to innovate again and offer tokens that you can easily launch on Bitcoin Cash, but also they're busy with decentralized applications, like easy development packages that the developers can use, and so I think that Bitcoin Cash will be catching up with Ethereum just simply because of the cheap transactions, and it like Bitcoin Cash is an interesting alternative because it is Bitcoin. You know that if you develop on top of Bitcoin Cash, well, you're targeting a Bitcoin audience, people that want to use Bitcoin, and that includes the mass market. And the mass market knows Bitcoin but does not know Ethereum. And yes, within the crypto currency world, people say, yeah, but Bitcoin Cash is not Bitcoin. But that's not true. It is Bitcoin. It's another version of Bitcoin. We have 2 versions now. We have even 3 and even more. But in the cryptocurrency world, there are different Bitcoin versions competing with each other, and they all carry the Bitcoin brand name. Bitcoin brand name is not monopolized by any of them. It's not protected by copyright. It does not have so that's the reality of things. So, but of course, it will be very, very hard to basically outcompete Bitcoin Core because of the network effects. But Bitcoin Cash does make a good chance because of well, absolute mismanagement of Bitcoin Core that continues to be. The moment this change stops, all hopes are gone for Bitcoin Cash. The moment Bitcoin Core decides, like, hey, maybe it's not a bad idea to increase the block size so that we can reduce the transaction fees, let's do it. It's over and out for Bitcoin Cash. But it's not happening, and it's not likely to happen. That's the case, and that's why I do believe Bitcoin Cash is a contender for the first spot, because it has the Bitcoin brand name, and that is like so much more known than Ethereum, and will continue to be so much more known also during the next bubble. In the next bubble, many new people will enter finally crypto that did not do it in the last bubble, but they did hear about it again, or for the first time. Well, they will enter in the next bubble, and so adoption rates peaked out, I think, maybe around 10% or so in the West of people that invest in crypto. Well, they will go to 30% or so in the next bubble. But where will all that new money go? Well, chances are actually that a lot of it goes to Bitcoin Cash. Let me look at the other questions. I don't talk about Ripple. Hi, Shane, because I don't find it an interesting project. The amount of currency in circulation is huge. Actually, not in circulation, but in reserve is huge. So, I mean, this will be very hard to go up in value. If there is a huge amount of reserve supply that can come onto the market while you're fighting the tide. So, simply because of that, but there are so many other cases. Like actually Ripple is an old project, and it has made very, very different design decisions compared to Bitcoin at the time. And design decisions that I think are wrong. They are not going to lead to a currency that is can be protected, can protect itself against the evils of government, because that's the challenge. Government will try to take it over and inflate it. And I think actually that's exactly what's happening to Bitcoin Core. I think it was successfully taken over by people that have the intention to well, to siphon value from it. That's what governments do. Huh? And the way they will do that is by building a second layer that people become dependent on, and then yeah, via transaction fees they will make money. And possibly after a while they might even increase the supply of bitcoins in circulation. This is likely to happen with that project over time, but it's a free market. It won't work. Like, there is too much competition. People will just switch project. With a fiat currency, you can do that. People can't switch that live in America from US dollar to Canadian dollars or to euros. No, they can't. They have to use the US dollar. So then you can siphon off value, and not too much, but every year 5%. Yes, you can do that. People won't run away because they can't run away. But that's not the case in cryptocurrencies. But Ripple is at risk, of course, to be attacked by governments the moment it becomes successful. And since it's not built in a decentralized fashion, it's very easy to threaten the leaders of this currency into submission, and thereby taking away the value that's being built for the users, and basically transferring it to the government or the management. Hi Cryptomedius, nice to see you too. Hi PV. Tesla is doing well. It's $230, going up slowly but steadily. So I like that. And also like to share that yeah, like very much the instruments you have when you invest in a cryptocurrency. Let me show you my little girl here. Can I switch this camera? Hey Joy, how are you, my little baby? Huh? How are you? Huh? But yeah, it's really nice. I don't have to sell my Tesla shares. I can just take a margin loan and use that money to put buy orders, and only when they get filled I can decide to sell some Tesla stock. But then the way I decide to sell it is, well, I just sell it. I put it at a stop loss price, 10-20% under the market, and so I'm trying to keep my shares, and so I'm building leverage, but not in a dangerous way. The moment the market, I have a little bit of leverage, but I will get rid of that leverage the moment the price goes down, and I will end up selling those Tesla shares that I should sell today. Like, I bought some Ethereum for 5% of my portfolio. I should sell 5% of my Tesla shares if I don't want leverage. But yeah, I'm gonna sell them. If the price drops 10%, then I will sell them. But possible price goes up, and then I haven't sold them and I make extra money. So I reduce my risk. I take on a little bit of risk only, but I have a lot of potential, upwards potential. So I think it's a much better system. Let me see what else there is. Hi Michael Golf, and thanks for asking. Yes, same with me, Cryptomedias. Like, when I bought my Ethereum a couple days back, I was like, yeah, okay. I'm not excited with that buy, but that's a good sign. Hi Fatsu. Yes, you're correct. This is something I'm not pointing out, but if we indeed go into a bull market from here, we will likely peak out a lot sooner than 2023, probably in 2021. And in that case, the bull market will not go as high because the trend line has not gone up as high. That's true, and this is a possible scenario. And I'm giving that, well, today a 33% probability. And so and meaning we won't reach 160 billion anymore. We go up from here and we never reach it again before the next stop. There is a chance for that. I estimate 33%, and that's why you really do have to be invested today in crypto for I think 33%. That makes rational sense. Huh? Depends on the odds you give it. That's very important to think about. What do you estimate the chances are, because from that you can deduct the allocation you need. This is the Kelly secret or insight. Cryptomedius asks, what's your opinion on BTC being under the 200 daily moving average, or also under the 21 weekly exponential moving average? Yeah, this was to be expected. Like people said before that wouldn't happen, or it didn't happen in the previous bear market, and then you just look it up and actually it did happen. Even in the previous bear market, the price went under the 200 moving average. So of course it's going to go under the 200 moving average again here. And if you look at the logarithmic regression line of cryptocurrencies, growth goes down over time, and the bear markets go up over time in undervaluation compared to this trend line. So it only follows that it is likely that these kind of supports that held in previous bear market will not hold in this bear market. So I think that's normal. Let me, Rob. Well, you know, he says I should check a Plan B model to study it, but you didn't tell me anything that triggered my interest. There are so many things you can study in life. Can you try to trigger my interest why the stock to flow model is worthwhile studying? Sika asks, what do you think of the privacy coin Zcoin? Well, I didn't study this one, but I have a privacy coin, Black Bytes, that I'm invested in. But I think the problem with all coins, privacy coins included, is the chicken and egg problem. Adoption is so difficult, and the one that breaks that wins. And it doesn't matter that much whether you're technologically superior or not. So this is the big problem, and that's why I am investing today in Ethereum and Bitcoin Cash only, even though I know from a technological standpoint they're not superior. There are many other coins that are superior, but yeah, you have to solve the chicken and egg problem, and that's very difficult. It means you need to really focus on the right things at the right time and shift focus all the time when something is not following up. Like, yes, you have to build yeah, it's a continuous hard job, and it just buying some great developing some great tech is certainly not sufficient. So yeah, I think right now that something like Ethereum or Bitcoin Cash may really also offer over time great privacy solutions developed by third parties, likely, that are good enough, that are good enough to keep their network effect going, and that's important here. Like, what you see is that the market dominator, yeah, usually, yeah, is not superior. Look at the time at for example, Microsoft in the operating system world. Yeah, it was not superior, but they had the best business strategy. They were smart to make sure that the right kind of people adopt it. In the case of the operating system, it was Well, personal computer manufacturers, Microsoft did genius moves there, business moves, business strategy moves, to make sure that basically that these computer manufacturers just gave also a Windows copy or a DOS copy first with their system for free. Yeah, that was the good strategy to basically sell. Hey, Microsoft said to these manufacturers, you know what? Here, you just pay $50,000. You can sell as many computers you like. You can you don't pay any dollar extra. Huh? So they were able to make huge profit by shipping Microsoft instead of another operating system with their personal computers or developing it their own. Huh? And it was a great business strategy because there were network effects playing that these manufacturers were not really aware of, even of IBM, who also did the same. Was also shipping Microsoft operating system and thought that they would win the market, but they were actually creating a network effect for Microsoft, not for themselves. And over time, Microsoft could change the business terms by saying, actually, when you're not able to sell it anymore for $50,000, independent how many copies you sell, actually we want per copy you give us $50. So that's how Microsoft became the winner in the market, by a genius business strategy, and not by offering the best operating system. No, when it came to the quality of the operating system, it was really not good. Actually, there were many problems with it, but it was good enough compared to the competition, and they improved it over time, and they adopted many features, copied many features from competitors that they shipped in one package for free. They didn't ask money for it. So again, a good business strategy, not to ask money for different pieces of software, but to all bundle it into the one operating system package. And that's how they did it. And this is the same in cryptocurrencies. It's not about how great it's not only about how user-friendly it is, or how easy it is to create privacy. No, even though these things are important, the most important thing is the business strategy. Are they really trying to get people using their currency? Are they successful in people using their currency instead of another one? And how they achieve that is not important, but that should be achieved. And usually, well, the way I think Bitcoin Cash does that, and Bitcoin did it at the time, but Bitcoin Cash does it today, is by super cheap transactions. It's very important because people are cheapskates. People really like free stuff and cheap stuff. So this is what Bitcoin Cash does very well. Yes, the transaction fee is negligible. You can't even like count it. Like it's less than 0.01 US dollar cents. It's not worth mentioning even. It's so low. And this is a great thing, a great strategy to onboard people. People don't like transaction fees. For example, that's a business strategy. That I think Bitcoin Cash is doing as the best, much better than Bitcoin Core or even Ethereum. But it's not sufficient, of course. Like there are so many coins that have cheap transaction fees. What's the most important here in this cryptocurrency market? Why do I believe in Bitcoin Cash? Because it's Bitcoin. Like that's the most important, that you're Bitcoin, because people don't even know the word cryptocurrency. They don't even know the word crypto. They don't know the word Ethereum, but they do know the word Bitcoin. Even here in Africa and Kenya, people know the word Bitcoin. And it's the only thing they know about this whole industry. So what will they start using when they finally, after having heard it 10, 20, 50 times in their life over the course of 5 to 10 years, and they finally make the decision to start using a currency? Which one will they pick? Bitcoin Core, Bitcoin Cash, or Bitcoin Gold, or Bitcoin SV? Because that's probably what they are going to look at. they're just gonna take usually the biggest one, which is Bitcoin Core today, but it's shifting. It's probably going to shift more and more. It will lose market share. So they will have a harder decision to make, because actually Ethereum is the biggest one. And then you also have Bitcoin Core, but it's actually not so big anymore. And you also have Bitcoin Cash. It's actually not so much smaller as Bitcoin Core. These are the kind of choices people need to make. Bitcoin Core is a high transaction fee. Bitcoin Cash is a low transaction fee. That's why probably Bitcoin Cash will over time grow in market share, because it's an evident choice to make for people. It's Bitcoin. Ethereum is not Bitcoin. Bitcoin Cash is Bitcoin, and it's cheap to use, and it's also innovating. Like you can see a lot of apps start to be built on top of it, and tokens. I'm looking ahead here. I'm not talking about today, but this is likely what's going to happen. And as a payment system, of course, Ethereum is totally not investing in that. It's not being used with merchants. Yes, it is being used, but it's like as a consequence of being a Bitcoin, they are not pushing that. And nothing happens just like that. Like you really have to build something. Yes, Ethereum has some advantages by being the biggest one and by Bitcoin Core fucking up so badly that also Ethereum is being adopted as in the merchant sector, but likely Bitcoin Cash will outcompete Ethereum there, because this community of Bitcoin Cash is much more focused on being a currency that merchants accept and being a currency that the people that invest in it and that hold it also use it with merchants. Like Ethereum community is not pushing that at all, but this needs to be pushed, because otherwise it won't happen. How do I get to that when you ask me a question about Ripple? Well, it's indeed like all very important. Like I'm not interested in Ripple at all. This is not happening there. Ripple is a well-managed project for sure, and they do a great job in the banking world. But yeah, it's a little bit like focusing today on building the best supercar using gasoline technology. Well, not a good idea. Not a good idea, because in 10 years the whole car industry is flipped to electrical. So if you want to build a supercar, focus on an electrical one, because within a very short amount of time this segment of the market will collapse. It's the same with the banking world. Cryptocurrency will make the banking world just being used much less. It's totally changing. It's the TV versus internet. Yes, TV, people are still watching TV today, but it has changed dramatically. Or radio or newspapers. Like every time you get a new technology that's much better, people shift towards that for the most part, and the old technologies become much less important. This is what will happen with banking. And so if Ripple just tries to become a payment system within banking, well, it will go down together with the banking world. So it's not a good business strategy, in my opinion. Even though it is very fruitful in the beginning, like today, these banks are switching to Ripple, start using Ripple, and that's good news, and Ripple goes up in value. But it's the same as during the internet boom in the 90s. Yahoo was the leading search engine, and on board yet another old media company that is starting to advertise on their website, and you get lots more revenue, and Yahoo shares go up in value. Yes, but this is not a long-term good strategy, because these old media will go down in value, will sell less newspapers, will have less TV viewers, and they will not be advertising on your internet platform anymore, because they won't have the money for it. In the case of Yahoo, actually their search engine was not as good as the new competitor Google, and they lost the total market. Nobody uses the website anymore for search, or very few people. So it's the same with Ripple. It's the wrong focus, in my opinion, the wrong business strategy. Hi all, welcome to the live show. We're almost 1 hour in. Fatsu asks, don't you think we're in a 2011 scenario when it comes to the Trollo regression trend line, where in 2011 it went above it but then back below it? Yes, indeed. This is exactly what happened now too. So I think indeed that we're quite similar to a 2011 scenario. And that means that, yes, actually it is possible we don't go to a new low in undervaluation. We might actually, like we might make a new high in undervaluation. We might, I think that's still likely, we go to 55% undervaluation and then to 60% like happened in 2011. But we don't make a new low. We don't go below 70% as we did in 2013. I think actually that's also still, that's certainly possible. And actually I give that the highest probability because I'm only giving a 33% chance for a new bottom. That means that once we hit that 55% undervaluation, which is now about 160 billion for total market cap and about 5,500 Bitcoin, BTC, I think that odds have become like less than 50% that we go lower. And so, yeah, it will become very important to make sure you invest enough there because chances are actually the highest we go up from there, just like we did in 2011. And yeah, so good question. Welcome, Shane. Thanks for the great question. Nobody know asks about Obyte. Will it ever recover? Up until now, they are still working well on the project. The lead developer Tony, and there are still people in the project that are believing in it strongly and putting a lot of energy in. So up until now, I think it's going well, and it looks like it will survive the bear market. But I also think that there is a small but real chance we do get a worse bear market. And we do make a new low, and in that case we will have to see how Obyte responds. It's a vulnerable project because it's dependent on the lead developer. If Tony stops with it, it's over. So it's a vulnerable project in that regard. So we'll have to see how it goes. Hey, smooth operator, I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. Why do you not buy Obyte instead of Ethereum is a great question. Well, because Obyte is a very small coin. Obyte has done poorly in gaining its market position. It has dropped from 50th place to 200th place or so, which is really not good. It's not good. Of course, you will always have this kind of effect, but when you invest in that new projects, of course, in the beginning are high ranked in the ranking and will lose ranking. That's normal. But in the case of Obyte, yeah, it's a bit a deja vu for me compared to NXT at the time. There was just no rebound. It continued to lose market share, and that's the case also with Obyte, and that's a very bad sign. There are a lot of things I love about Obyte, and I still stand behind. If you watch my videos of Obyte, everything I said that I love about it is still true today. They have a lot of great things too. But yeah, and I think it might be worthwhile certainly to invest in it again and more. I still have my position, but yeah, I think at the first stages of a bull market it's wise to invest in Bitcoins. So that's why I'm not investing in small coins yet. For now, I haven't done research in small coins. So with the knowledge I have about small coins, if the time is right to invest in small coins, yes, I would invest more in Obyte and Bismuth, the two projects that I have, simply because I have them already. So there is no extra work for me to build my position there when it comes to storing the coin, for example, or learning about it. That's why I would invest more in it. But would I invest in it again if I wouldn't have them? No, I wouldn't. Because I don't want to manage more currencies. I really want to outsource this problem. I want to be only invest in one coin and build that, and that's Bitcoin Cash. But I do want to be diversified in crypto, but I would outsource that problem and buy the cyber capital fund that I talked about in my last video. For me, that's a much better solution to have someone else deals with all these projects and invest within them when they are cheap and sell some of them when they are expensive, and keep an eye on following up all these projects and storing all these coins in a safe way. It's just so much work, and I really am ready to outsource that problem to other people. So my plan is to invest not in new coins, but just invest in the cyber capital fund. But in the case of Obyte and Bismuth, I already have them. I might invest more in them when the time is right. And that means after the bull market has clearly started and after my coins, Ethereum and Bitcoin Cash, Ethereum or Bitcoin Cash have pumped, only then I would do that. But I think Obyte is still promising, because I think there's a good explanation why it lost so much market share. I think it's because of the issuance system. So it has a fixed amount of coins created in the beginning, but it's spending this over time on all kind of projects. In the beginning, it was a lot about giving free coins to people that participate in distribution and register bitcoins, and then but now that has stopped, and it's going to people that yeah, you have like all kind of things, like people that help with the project basically become a success, or if you want to like register your identity, or if you want to like for cashbacks, it's still all happening and active, and so of the reserve supply, coins are getting spent over time to develop it and to market it. But we're in a bear market, and so people that receive these coins sell a piece of them, but there are no new buyers for them, there are no new investors for it, so it dumps the price. And I think due to that, due to this spiral down, of course, it scares away investors even more, and so they sell their coins. Also, if you look at the price history of Obyte, you can't see that actually the real returns, because people that owned Obyte from the beginning, bytes, got extra bytes because they had bytes, they got more bytes, and so the actual real returns are considerably higher than what the chart shows. So for investors, this looks like a totally failed project, but it's actually not as bad as it looks on the chart. But it's still bad, of course. Many people did lose a lot of money with it, so it does, yeah, it pushes away people, and you get a downward spiral. And I think current valuation of 20 million is low for a project like Obyte. It's definitely worth to invest in, but I already have a position in it, so yeah. But I don't have a position in Ethereum, so that's why also I bought Ethereum and not Obyte. Okay, I think we're gonna have to end the show. You can stop with the questions. I'm gonna go through them quickly, the last ones. No, I'm not in CryptoFace Discord. Speak the English in the chat, please. Okay. So Ryan Griffin asks for BCH to become successful, does not to be less volatile. No, I don't think that's a problem in cryptocurrencies. It's a highly overrated problem. People in the beginning of a new market, the first people come to make money. That was the case in the internet boom, or in the California land boom, or in the tulip boom. The first adopters are people are willing to take high risks in exchange to make a lot of money. They don't care about the volatility. That's exactly what they are looking for, is for it to go up a lot. And of course, that causes also great corrections and great volatility. But this is actually the best thing in crypto, is that it's extremely volatile, meaning it goes up a lot and then it goes down a lot too. But of course, it's also very important in the long term. Even after a correction, it's still up a lot. Huh? That's the case with crypto, and that's why it grows so fast and attracts so many people, because it is extremely volatile. So, and that's also true for Bitcoin Cash, like all cryptos. Yeah, you can make tons of money with it. You can also lose a lot with it. So you have to use your brains. But no, I don't. I think that's a feature. When it comes to payments, it's easily solved to not have problems with volatility. It's all done in the background. Huh? You do payment. But you need good apps for it. For example, Bitcoin Cash has great mobile wallet, bitcoin.com, where you just say how many US dollars or any fiat currency. You change in the setting. You can say I want to send so much or receive so much. Up, click, swipe, and it's paid. You don't have to bother with the volatility. I mean, with the currency exchange rates is easily circumvented. It's not a usability problem. It's true for merchants also. Huh? Thanks all for participating in the live show. The last question there I was not going to answer because I started the live show about it. Do you think we are in a dead cat bounce here for crypto by Raphael since 2011? This goes back to the fundamentals, and it's very important to understand the fundamentals of crypto, because otherwise, when it does correct a lot, which may certainly happen now, you won't be able to buy because you don't believe in the fundamentals. So look at this video again if you missed the start, because I'm really going into that again, and I think it's very important to understand it. And if you disagree with certain things I say, dig into it, because it means that well, you don't believe in the fundamentals, and that will cause you to doubt when the price become very interesting. Well, all the news will be negative, and people will doubt en masse whether Bitcoin or Ethereum or Bitcoin Cash will survive. And you will doubt about it yourself also strongly. So you really need to be able to go back then to the fundamentals, like, okay, what's the real underlying value here of this technology, and is that there still today, and will that there continue to be in the future? You have to understand it, otherwise you won't be able to make a great investment in the cryptocurrency industry. Thanks all for watching and for joining the live show. I really look at you as a friend, and I'm very happy I can talk with you and share my opinions and get feedback from you. Thank you so much, and have a great week. And watch my previous video, because it's very important. We reached serious undervaluation again. So if you need to correct mistakes in your portfolio, now is the time to do so. If you haven't bought Ethereum or Bitcoin Cash yet, now is the time to do so, because well, the opportunity is there, and there is no guarantee. Actually, there's 33% chance, in my opinion, we go up from here, and it's your last chance to do so. So big mistakes need to be corrected now, I believe. Watch my video for more about that. Hi all. Bye all.